We've been renovating our shop. We've gotten the paint on the walls and the French cleat system is up. So today it's time to start building some accessories to hang on this wall. We're going to start by building this sanding station. It's going to hold all of my sandpaper as well as my palm sander. So let's get it started. So I'm learning SketchUp. My website is in production and I will be able to have some plans for sale, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. But as you can see, I prefer old school. I'm just going to draw this thing out, measure everything from my sandpaper to my sander, and here shortly you're going to see me actually take a 2x4, kind of make like a little storyboard for this project just to make sure all of my measurements are on, and then I'll get started over at the miter saw and move on to the table saw. So this is a scrap piece of plywood I had laying around. I am going to need a total of 5 pieces to make this box up. That's short of the actual shelves, which I'm going to make out of 1/4 inch MDF. But first thing we're going to do is cut everything to length. Then we're going to head over to the table saw and rip these 5 pieces down to width. So I'm over here at the table saw, and all of the pieces that I just cut to length, I'm going to now rip down to width. Afterwards, I'm going to pull out my homemade panel cutter, and I'm going to first off trim each end to make sure they are nice and square, then rotate them around and cut them to final length. If you have a crosscut sled or a panel cutter, I would highly recommend using it, as the more precise you make these components, the more precise your box is going to be at the end. This holds true from anything small like this sanding cabinet to a large kitchen cabinet, anything you're making that's a box. I've switched over to my dado blade, setting my height, and installed the sacrificial fence. Now we're just trying to get a pretty close measurement on how wide we want these rabbits and dados, do a little bit of adjustment with a test piece, and then we will get to cutting. The 2 side pieces are going to need a rabbit at the top and the bottom, as well as a dado in the middle, and then the top 2 horizontal pieces will also require a dado to hold the divider in between the left and right cavities that are going to hold those sandpaper. And right here I'm just switching out from 3/4 inch wide on my dado assembly to 1/4 inch wide. I'm making these slots. These are going to be the 4 slots that hold the 4 pieces of MDF that make up the 5 compartments where the actual sandpaper will get stored. The 2 side pieces will get these dados, as well as the centerpiece will get the dados on both sides of it. All right, and finally it's time for glue up. I'm going to put a nice coat of glue in all of these dados and rabbits, put our components together, and then we're going to put this thing down, clamp it together, and let it set for a few hours before we complete this. And right here, I realized that I had forgotten one component. The center divider in the top cavity that separates the 10 compartments, I just realized I didn't put it in. So I had to remove a clamp, glue up the divider, and it was able to slide right into place. Put my clamps back on, let this thing dry, and this thing was pretty much finished. I do apologize, I did not get a chance to film me ripping down the back panel. I simply put a 1/4 inch sheet of plywood on the back and then installed my other part of my French cleat so I could hang this, and this project was done. And that's it. As you can see, this is my first storage build for my new French cleat wall system. I am super stoked with how this thing turned out. This gives me a place to put my sander and all of my sandpaper. I am going to eventually fill up this French cleat wall with tons of storage options. Next on my list is going to be a drill compartment that's going to have some storage for my batteries, as well as a shelf that is going to hold all of the chargers. Hopefully that video will be up in a couple of days. But yeah, hope you guys stick around, enjoy the process of me renovating my shop, as well as doing some builds along the way. So that's it for today. We'll catch you guys on YouTube.